What should you ride first on your first visit to Universal Orlando? Version 3.0 of the Halloween Horror Nights Spec Map is here. We talked to the one and only Mouse and Muggle Michelle about her recent trip to Universal Orlando and hear hers and Kenneth's review of the Bourne Stuntacular. You are listening to episode 409 of the Unofficial Universal Orlando podcast. Welcome back, everybody. So glad, as always, to have you here. But let me bring in some co-hosts here. So I got with me Lee.
I don't want to talk about Universal right now anyway, so...
Perfect. Tracy.
Hello, whatever, okay.
Darren.
What's up, Internet?
This is going to be awesome. And a special guest today, we have Michelle from Mouse and Muggle.
Hi, I'm happy to be here. I don't know about Lee. What's going on there?
How's everyone doing? Apparently terrible.
So nobody knows what's going on. I'm going to pull the curtain back and say
great
that we are
ago.
in the process of cancelling our trip for October. That's why I don't really want to talk about it.
Oh. Well,
We
I'm sure
finally
we'll get to that at some point.
made that decision to at least look at options at this point, but I think it's...
I don't think it's going to be. I don't think we
No,
get
it
the
probably
choice.
won't
It's
be,
out of
but
our
yeah.
hands, I think.
Anyway.
No, I don't want to talk about Universal because I'm worried all those vloggers are going to pick up all those denim jackets before I get a chance to get there.
We know
Stressing me
people,
out.
Darren. We know people.
Well, let's get back on a brighter note. Tracy, why don't you give us some birthdays?
I will indeed, and hopefully we've got them. So I know he's glaring at me. Hopefully we've got them all. Apparently he's got a plan for next year, so that should fail.
Well, people are already complaining that I'm not giving him the shout-outs, welcoming him back to the group, so I've already cocked it up.
So we are going to start with the last June birthday of the month, and it's a very special person. I love her lots. I think somebody else in here might love her lots too. I mean, we all do, but I think, you know. But it is the lovely, the absolutely gorgeous Alexa Lourero's birthday on June the 30th. Happy birthday!
Feliz
Happy
cumpleaños.
birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
She's been celebrating for 3 days already, hasn't
Well,
she?
yeah,
Yeah.
I've been loving that. Then we're into July, and on the 6th of July, we have the lovely Glyn Petrie's birthday. Happy birthday!
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
And then the 9th of July, it is the birthday of the one and only Thomas Wagner. Happy birthday!
Happy birthday, Thomas.
Happy
birthday.
birthday.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
And the following day, oh, good grief.
If this was a producers club show, we'd be getting called something different in a minute.
Well, this is very true. He did get called something different on Saturday. The 10th of July, it is Stuart Mallett's birthday. He's probably been celebrating all month anyway.
Oh.
Happy birthday, Stu!
Happy birthday,
Happy
Stuart.
birthday, Stuart.
Happy birthday, Stu. If he's still alive, because I think he was struggling on Sunday morning.
Well, they shouldn't try and keep it with me. Then finally, and I hope it is finally, and nobody's been missed out, it is the lovely, it's kind of like our substitute son in a way, isn't he?
Yeah.
In real life. The lovely Kieran Elliott's birthday on the 11th of July. Happy birthday, Kieran!
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, knobhead.
That sounds like a true father right there.
I think that's actually a person we might get cake out of.
Maybe. We're locked down. I will put a plug. I don't know whether I've already mentioned it or whether it was before we started recording the Producers Club. We are inducting everyone back in for this year. And I kind of mentioned it 2 weeks ago that we're doing an extra fundraiser for Give Kids the World this year because of COVID. They're really, really struggling. And we normally donate $200, but we've asked as part of the Producers Club now for people to donate a little bit more. And I have been blown away by the generosity of our Producers Club members.
Yeah. You are amazing. I'm in awe.
The total
Absolutely.
fund at this point is just over $1,300.
Insane.
So awesome.
I know.
So amazing.
I know. Whether it's $1 or it's more than $1, it doesn't matter. Every penny counts and helps them, and they are very close to our hearts. And they've had to close at the moment because of COVID, and there's families out there that need this, so we need to make sure that they can reopen their doors as soon as possible.
Yeah.
And they've got enough funds to get those families back in and Help
So
them
there's
make those memories.
that, and you might get your birthday read out on the show, and bonus content, which you will.
Oh yeah, we'll
No, you
talk
won't
about
get it
that, aren't we?
actually. And we do giveaways, and you get a chance to be on the show, as 2 listeners are when Tracy disappears for 4 episodes soon. So email us at UUOPproducers, that's double P, UUOPproducers@gmail.com for more information.
Cool. So let's move along here. We have a listener voicemail from Abby.
Hey guys, my name's Abby. I found your podcast a couple months ago when I was making a 14-hour road trip by myself, and I actually ended up listening to your episodes the entire drive. I've had an annual pass to Universal since I was 2 years old, and I am almost 21, so I've been going for a while. I would definitely consider myself a Universal fanatic, so listening to y'all's podcast is just super nostalgic for me and makes me really happy to think about the parks because I haven't been in a couple years. I will be going soon, however, with my fiance for our honeymoon. We're going at the very end of July for a full week. We're staying at Hard Rock. We're really excited about it. My question to you guys, though, is I want your opinion on what ride I should take him on first. He's never been to Universal or let alone even a really quality theme park ever. And so I want to know what ride you guys think should be his very first experience at Universal. My second question is, do you guys know of any cool experiences that we could do to spice up our honeymoon in the parks? Like, I don't know, anything free, any way that you think we could maybe benefit from being on our honeymoon in the parks by maybe getting some free stuff or some cool experiences or free food or anything like that. I just want to know if you guys know of anything like that or have any ideas or recommendations of ways that we could just have an awesome time. So just let me know if you'll have any thoughts. Thanks.
Shrek.
Shrek.
Straight to Shrek.
Well, that's the question. Is like, do you don't want to start off with the best thing?
I think that's what she's hinting at, though, isn't it?
It's like you want a good thing.
But it sounds like she wants to kind of just blow him away with the ride.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I got from that.
Go straight in the Hulk. It's kill or cure, and she'll see what sort of a man he is.
So it seems like she's wanting, to show him the ride that is. This is what Universal's about.
Quintessentially Universal.
This is what Universal Orlando is about.
It's got to be ET then, hasn't it?
Forbidden Journey.
Yeah.
That's my vote.
I would say
don't wanna
Forbidden
go with
Journey.
ET.
Like, even though I like Hagrid's more, but Forbidden Journey is like that
It's a
all
whole
around ride.
experience, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'll blow
It's
him away.
got screens. It's got moving stuff.
Got
It's got
vomit.
stationary things. We're good. We got dragons.
Come on, Michelle, you've been very quiet. I'm waiting for your answer.
I don't know. This is a tough one for me because I have questions. So, like, are they Harry Potter fans? If they're Harry Potter fans, then I think that there's a really specific way that every Harry Potter fan should enter the park, and that's through Diagon Alley and through getting your wand and doing Gringotts and then hitting the train and heading over. Like, that's a whole deal for me. If you're
You
not
should be
a
a travel agent.
right,
point.
And how does one do that? But if they're not like super major Harry Potter fans, then I would agree with Forbidden Journey because that is a good representation of what Universal has to offer. Or if you're not on that side, if you start over at the studios, then I would have to say Mummy just because it's my favorite there other than Gringotts. I like that one a lot. I think Spider-Man's a good representation also of what to expect at the parks. That's a tough one.
Okay, so I'm going to take everybody's into consideration here. And I'm going to say, if I was just going to go first attraction, nothing like Michelle kind of talked about, if you want to do Potter, it's got to be, there's a very specific way you should do it, which I agree with. But if it's just that quintessential attraction, I agree with Chris and Tracy and Darren. I think it's got to be Forbidden Journey. That's still, for all I like Hagrid's more, and I kind of enjoy Gringotts more at this point. I think if you're showing someone this is what Universal can do at the peak of their game, that is it.
Right.
Yeah.
Let me put on my travel agent hat really fast though. If they're going in July, the early park entry is going to be at studios.
Okay,
So
right.
F days out. So that would pretty much leave something on the studio side,
Okay.
which for me over there it would be, I guess, Gringotts if I'm a Harry Potter fan. If not, then I would make a quick stop at Mummy first.
So then the way I was going to go,
Uh-huh.
they go at the studios first.
Right.
If they're going to use early entry,
Okay.
go in. Enjoy going in for the first time, get your pictures, go and get something to eat, just have a walk around and then do the Hogwarts Express first. That way, you can still do Forbidden Journey as your second attraction. You still get that reveal going through King's Cross without getting the Diagon Alley thing. You could do that separate. I know it's not quite the same. So you could do technically the Hogwarts Express as your first ride and then do Forbidden Journey, because then you're still getting that reveal into Hogsmeade.
Yeah. Yeah.
And let me tell you, the lack of crowds right now is incredible. I know we'll talk about that later, but going for the first time and being able to do Diagon Alley without all those crowds, and also on top of that have early entry, so it's even fewer crowds, that'll be a pretty incredible experience right there. Yeah. Just walking into Diagon Alley without riding a ride. So
without 1,000 cameras in front of you facing the dragon.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there were so few crowds that there were actually women laying down on the ground in front of Gringotts taking like really super cool, photos and things, because you're not fighting with crowds. It was a pretty surreal experience. And I don't expect that to change much in July, to be honest with you.
This is exactly why I said what I said at the beginning of the show, by the way. I don't want to talk.
Yeah. And then for the second part, being that it's your honeymoon, go to guest services and get a pin.
Absolutely.
Get pins and wear them the whole time, because especially with those reduced crowds, there's probably a reduced number of people with those pins celebrating things. So there's probably a higher chance of you getting some benefits from that.
Yep.
So.
For sure. Or even wear some shirts.
Are they going to be saving money and not giving free stuff away like they normally do? I know we always say, look, don't go in expecting free stuff, because you won't necessarily get it, so you won't be disappointed. But if you do, it's brilliant. But don't go in expecting it.
But a dessert's not going to cost a restaurant much.
I don't even think like the free stuff is like the biggest part of it. So like when it was like Alexa's birthday or my birthday, one of us, we just got on Men in Black and over the loudspeaker announced happy birthday on the ride. Yeah. And that was super cool to us. Like that's better than getting a free cupcake in my opinion, because I was like, oh, nice.
Right.
Oh, I know what to get Chris for his birthday.
Yeah, just a
shout out on the show. It's cool.
Yell at me.
Right. Staying at Hard Rock, I have actual personal experience with that. Not for my anniversary, but for birthdays. So it was mine and my dad's birthdays around the last celebration of Harry Potter weekend that we went to, and we stayed at Hard Rock, and we told them at check-in what we were celebrating, and they were super awesome. So there at check-in, they were able to give us the pins, so we didn't have to stop at guest services in the parks.
Idea.
Nice.
So they gave us the pins at check-in. I don't know if they still do this, disclaimer, and I definitely don't know what they're going to be doing during COVID, because everything's a little bit different. But they gave us actual, not like the buttons, the big round buttons, but they gave us an actual Hard Rock Hotel happy birthday pin.
Cool.
Ooh. Got a little metal pin. It was super cool. They gave us some coupons for the kitchen where we could go and get a free dessert. What else did they give us? They gave my daughter some kind of little blow up guitar thing. And then they also at one point sent 2 pieces of really awesome birthday cake to our room and surprised us. They had we got a phone call. Hey, are you in the room? Yep. And somebody showed up with cake. So that was
Did they actually ring up and you answered the phone and went, hey, are you in the room? And you went, well, yeah, otherwise I wouldn't have answered the phone.
I mean, it's Hard Rock. So
that's how that went.
Yeah. However, when I stayed at Portofino and I was celebrating an anniversary, it wasn't quite so, hey, what's up? It was, a little bit more fancy. But at Portofino, they actually sent a big basket that had fruit and champagne and all kinds of stuff to the room.
So they've done that at Cabana Bay before for us when we were doing an anniversary. They gave us 2 free drink tickets. It's something, but it was nice.
Next time we go, Tracy, we're celebrating everyone's birthday. It's our anniversrsary.
Well, it was supposed to be in October.
Well, that's very true.
Send up the damn cake.
Just I don't care what time of year it is. Is it your birthday? Yeah. And our anniversary, funnily enough, next week as well.
We did that last...
I know.
Shh. Shh. Well, it was actually the right time of year.
It wasn't.
It was August. Shh. Well, you would have been it.
Uh-oh. Lee forgot his anniversary.
I know exactly when it is. Don't worry about that.
He doesn't forget, he ignores.
Oh.
Well. But like they said, don't expect free things necessarily from it, but just expect a fun time, really.
Yeah, the thing
is. I think the experience more than anything else will be pretty awesome.
Yes.
And just flash your button every time you look at any cast member. Hey, look at this.
Christopher.
Yep. What?
The team members.
Sorry, did I say cast members?
You did.
Uh-oh.
I was just watching a YouTube video not that long ago. My bad.
One thing I would also recommend, since it's a big trip, would be to make sure you have the photo package. Although there are, like, during my experience last week, there were fewer PhotoPass photographers there than usual. But with the lack of crowds, they were able to get kind of creative. So I think with it being a honeymoon and maybe you guys wearing cute shirts or whatever, they would probably take a little bit more time of getting some really cool pictures for you.
Nice.
That's a good idea.
Just walk around shouting it down the street.
Do you know, just go in your wedding outfits.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
You know?
Yeah, we just got married, literally. Yeah, it's difficult because with everything that's going on, we could give you advice for what it would be normally, but now is who the hell knows?
Yeah. It's uncharted territory at the moment.
So whatever
and
happens,
it changes
actually,
a little bit daily. So
let us know, actually.
I was
I'd be
going to say,
interested.
Well, even that aside, I still want to know what you get.
Yeah.
What happens.
Send us a little, another
Get to
little
sleep inside
voicemail.
Hogwarts.
Send us some, post some photos on the Facebook wall as well, because we'd love to see.
Yeah.
So,
Cool.
Congratulations.
Yes, congratulations.
Yeah.
Yeah. Congrats.
We're terrible.
All right. Let's go take this show a little darker right now. So let's talk about some Halloween Horror Nights speculation.
Oh, you want to
here.
take it darker? It's not
Like how
happening.
dark you want to get? Because
I want to just go as dark as possible.
It's not
I can
happening.
go well beyond this map.
Go on then, Darren.
Well, I don't know. Interestingly enough, hiring is still going on for Halloween Horror Nights 30. I'll just toss that in there.
Okay.
Reports are that they are hiring for operations now internally.
Is that 'cause
Only-
you just laid everyone
Zoom
off?
based?
Yeah, well, this is operations, so this is just like application based. Really, you don't have to.
Okay.
Yeah, they might do in-person interviews, but this is not the same like thing as the auditions for the cast members that they were doing before. Yes, cast.
Yeah, I heard, and I knew
They're
you pulled
actually
your phone out and I
casting.
realised. Yeah, I know.
Yes.
All right.
So yeah, the spec map has changed up again quite a bit. We have some things that are out, and then some stuff we thought were together split apart again. All kinds of craziness. So.
Yeah, we have a scare zone that's kind of stuck in there that I don't think anyone's noticed. Because everyone's concentrated on the houses, and I noticed there's a scare zone there.
Yes, and interestingly, the shows are still on here, but from what I've heard, don't expect any shows this year. Yes, Creep Show is on the map. Creep Show in Hollywood. So, that was a house in Hollywood last year, so how appropriate.
Yeah, I've never seen a Creep Show, so I don't even know what it is.
Yeah, so we still have Universal Monsters, The Bride. Now it's The Brides.
Huh?
We have more than one bride.
The werewolfette.
Yeah. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Haven't they done that
It's on
before,
there.
like many times?
Yes. And like pretty recently too, like just a couple of years
3
ago.
or 4 years ago, yeah.
Old Faithful then.
Bedtime Stories, which I've heard is like an evolution of that Tooth Fairy kind of
Yeah.
thing
Yes.
I
that they
think
were going
that's
to do.
been on the map. That's been on the spec map from the beginning, I think.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Horror Nights Icons, which is interesting. That's essentially, like an entire icon house, which was not on the spec map before.
Yes, please cancel Halloween Horror Nights 30 and move it to next year, please.
Yes.
Yeah. Anniversary House, which, what?
Seems strange next to icons,
there you
but
go.
yeah, it'd be like Jack
How's that?
Presents, won't it?
I guess.
Whereas
But-
the icons house will be all based all around the icons. The anniversary house will potentially
Yeah.
be like a Jack Presents 25 Years of Monsters of Mayhem.
They are also opposite ends of the parks, though, those two as well. So
Yes.
it kind of splits
And-
that, gives you that. It's probably to carry on the feel around the park,
Yeah,
and
maybe.
carry on the theme. And
Yeah. And I've heard that there's the Terror Queen's appearance will be in this one,
Okay.
the anniversary house,
Interesting.
Yeah.
because she's got her, what was it, 15 years, right?
20, wasn't it?
Has it been 20? Jeez.
Yeah, I think it's 20.
Yeah, so yeah, it was like every 20 years she'll be back. So, and this is the year, so they wanted to at least acknowledge that. But, yeah,
happens if it gets
things have
cancelled?
changed a lot for Horror Nights since then. So I don't know how
21
much
years.
there will be in there. Next, we got the Pumpkin Original. Okay. So we've taken the pumpkins from Central Park and we've brought them inside.
Yeah.
The next one sounds like a COVID concession if I ever heard of one, and it's called Mannequin Theater.
Oh, yeah, it literally is the COVID house, isn't it?
You're like, I'm waiting for one of them to move, but none of them do.
Yeah.
Just a theater full of mannequins. That's it.
Our costs were so low on this house.
Yeah. Gosh, that's what all of them will have to be, in my opinion. The Haunting of Hill House.
Yeah, that's been on there from the start.
That's been on there, and it's kind of the big marquee, I guess. Up next to, of course, Beetlejuice, which will be your throwback house.
Oh, yes.
We've talked about that one before. And then, once again, as a separate house on our own, Billie Eilish.
And I'm hearing that Billie Eilish thing is a definite.
Uh-huh.
I've heard from enough people that is rubber stamped in, ready to go, and it just seems so weird.
I'm intrigued by it. I'm very
walk
intrigued
through
by
and
it.
they scare you with her music.
I like Billie Eilish.
No, you like Billie Eilish.
I know you do. I'm the opposite of.
I mentioned it to Jade, and she's like, "Will she be there?" I said, "Probably, but not when we are."
Yeah.
I highly doubt that anybody's going to be coming in the crowd or anything like that. She might make an appearance from a helicopter above.
Well, not when it's not on.
Like, goodbye, unwashed masses. Goodbye.
She'll be in the COVID copter.
COVID copter.
Yes. And then they say that the Academy of Villains and Lagoon Show are happening. From what I've heard, not happening.
Yeah, well, that's interesting because I saw posted somewhere yesterday that someone said they were testing Marathon of Mayhem in the park the other night.
They weren't testing Marathon of Mayhem. They were doing a special presentation for some team members that were leaving.
Okay.
So,
right. There we go.
So it was like a kind of farewell for them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, they have other shows going on in the parks right now with social distancing. Why wouldn't they do social distancing on these?
From what I've heard, the nature of how they have to pack people in, and they have not worked on a Lagoon show at all yet for this year. That would have been anything different. So I don't know. The Academy of Villains show, how that is, it would definitely not be in the Fear Factor theater, if anything, because I mean, even if they could social distance, I'm just like the way that place is set up. You'd have to. It would be the capacity would be so low. Yeah. I think,
and still getting people in and out would be a nightmare.
To load and unload.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, maybe after we talk later about my experience with the Bourne Stuntacular, you might see kind of a little bit more of the procedures of how they're going to do that and see how it might play in. But yes, you're right. Capacity would definitely be limited. But then again, they're going to have to limit capacity to the event anyway.
Yeah,
that's true.
Well, they're going to limit it to zero because it's not happening.
Yeah, the other question is, do they get the whole Academy of Villains crew here? Do they want to come here? Do they want to stay in a hotel here the whole time and isolate because they're going to have to?
Yeah.
Were they doing the Lagoon show, Michelle?
No,
but funny enough, they would randomly have just like the water fountains kind of going and like a show to music without any kind of visuals, like a nighttime thing.
Yeah, they do that during the day normally.
Well, yeah, but you would think that would also be counterproductive as opposed, when trying to keep people away from drawing crowds, but I don't know.
I think they've been doing that long enough to know that people don't really congregate to watch it anyway. It's just something going on during the day, and they've probably thought the same thing again, that if we just put it on, people aren't going to stand there to watch it because it's not really anything.
Well, and the Central Park area is the mask-free zone.
Yes.
So I guess, I don't know. Why not give them a show? I mean, they're in their mask-free, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they're obviously not worried about contracting.
And then enjoy getting COVID to a water fountain show.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've fought Darren all the way on this, but I am pretty convinced it ain't going to happen this year.
You're convinced it is not going to happen?
We are 10 weeks out from the start of this thing, and we have heard nothing. And I don't just mean house announcements or scare zone announcements. If they're having to put protocols in place for people to deal with this event, they need longer than this time to tell people what the hell to expect, and we've heard absolutely nothing.
A couple of things that I thought about, and when I was sitting here thinking about this again, is just it's dark on top of everything else. It's like, how do you know that you went through and cleaned everything?
Yeah.
On top of all the other concerns that there are, just the entertainment side of things, the scare zones aren't going to be the same for sure. You're not going to have any scare actors. And if there are, they're going to be up on stages away from you or, behind fences, something like that. It's going to be
kind of like how they're doing right now with all the meet and greets.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
People are inconsiderate during the day. Not necessarily at Universal. I've seen pretty good things for the most part during the day there, but at the other parks and everything like that, and just, people walking around, some people aren't as concerned about this as other people are.
No.
So, you're going to have people that are just like pushing through and walking right by you during these things and all that. And I just, I don't know.
That you also got to think about the considerable amount of time it takes to put this event together, and how we, like Lee was saying, we normally get information. We haven't gotten anything, not anything's even been like
anything.
Nothing,
Yeah.
And then on top of that, like another thing I look at just to see exterior kind of things going on, the rat down the street canceled their Not So Scary.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Halloween, which is not even a close contact event. It's just adding candy and, some other things.
Well, they canceled because their main draw for the party is the fact that they have a special fireworks show. They have a special parade show. They have special character meet and greets, all things which cannot happen. So it's kind of pointless. Whereas that's not what Halloween Horror Nights is about,
Yeah.
Going through these houses is really no different than going through the lines for the rides during the day.
Yeah, but
But
constantly.
I think that's even worse, though.
Well, here's
Horror Nights.
And there's another big thing. Anonymous designer on one of the forums that I go on that has worked in the past for Horror Nights kind of showed some very general CAD drawings and stuff from previous houses over the years, and kind of proved that there's no way to socially distance in these houses.
Yeah.
Okay.
With scare actors. And even necessarily with the line. You don't know how often you are right next to the line.
Yeah.
Like the conga line on the other side of a curtain or something like that.
Yes.
So
Look, from a personal
that's the other
point of
big
view, cancel the thing and let me come next year instead. Like, I know I'm not coming to it, so I'll be more than happy. But just playing devil's advocate with it all, I don't understand why they would want it to go ahead at this point. It's the 30th anniversary. I know it's not as big as a 25 or a 50, but it's still an anniversary event. Do you want your 30th to go down as the year that was a complete show?
It might not be a complete show.
You'll get people who understand it and go, yeah, it was all right, but I understand that it was what it had to be. Then you get everyone else complaining and going, why the hell did I waste my money? That was absolute garbage. And you go, but yeah, what did you expect? It wasn't going to be what you expected
for the costs
to be.
associated with this thing.
The amount, they're not going to make money off it, and that's the whole point of Horror Nights for them. Especially
and
when
no matter what, any precaution that they decide upon doing, there's no guarantee that's going to work. And then they're responsible for that.
Yeah.
Do you want to risk that for this? I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think it's worth it. And I love Horror Nights. I'm the biggest fan of Horror Nights.
Look, in fairness, you know how much I was looking forward to getting out there for this year. And I know we're not, but even when I thought we were, still looking at it, it was like, no, I'd still rather they did it next year, even though I potentially wouldn't get to it next year. Like, I was ready to come over this year and Horror Nights get cancelled and not get to do it next year.
And for so many years, it was a big matter of safety that guests can't wear a mask at night during Horror Nights because you won't be able to distinguish them from other people. But now it'll be okay because we have to. So, that part, oh, well, you're just going to have people acting like jerks again on top of that, wearing their goofy masks.
Just to throw in another wrench in here, and I don't want to get too much into it, but, you also got to think about things are changing all the time, right? Things are changing every day. Just the other day, they just shut down all bars again, right? Done.
Yeah.
What is going to happen in September? September could be the same thing right now. Things are open. Things are great. Or the state of Florida could say, hey, everything's shutting back down in August. And Universal just dumped a bunch of money to try to create things and lost a bunch of money doing that. So, I mean, again, going back to the monetary aspect of it, you really got to think about, what am I willing to lose if I try to go forward with something like this?
Yeah. Yeah, is it a risk they want to take financially and reputationally?
Yeah.
Well, if they're creating right now with the thought in mind that they're going to run it this year, and then for something happens and they don't, can't the stuff that they've created just be stored and used for next year. So
Yeah.
are they really losing a lot of money right now by planning to go forward?
Well,
not really, because they'll just do it next year instead.
Yeah, but if they build it now and then put it on, then I think they would lose money. I don't think they would make money out of that event. I don't see how they could. The capacity you're going to have to run Horror Nights at is going to be so low.
Mm-hmm.
It is, but the capacity that they let them have is outrageously out of control.
But exactly, and they're going to look at last year's event and then run this year's event with, I don't know, a quarter of the capacity, and the figures are going to be like,
that would be like regular capacity for what it should be.
It'd be like regular, yeah. So they may not make as much money, but will they lose money by limiting capacity? I don't think so. I don't think they're stupid enough to open the doors if they know they're going to lose money.
But then going off what Chris said about bars, Darren, would you expect them to, if it went ahead, to make it a dry event this year?
Oh, I hope so. If they didn't, on top of everything else, then that would be insane. I'd have to stop doing the podcast at that point.
Haven't we always heard that the liquor license is one of the biggest money makers at Horror Nights for them?
Yeah, but I mean, they have been kind of edging towards a drier event.
True.
Well, no, but they're still selling those,
agree, that'll shut down.
Really expensive sugar drinks.
Yeah, very true.
And
you still need to. They make a lot of money off of that.
Yeah, but they cannot have a drunk crowd.
100%.
Exactly, and that's the point. Yeah,
because it's hard enough to get people to follow the rules, and
people are arguing right now sober. So introduce alcohol and watch what happens.
Oh my gosh,
this is the most negative show we've done ever, I think.
Oh, sorry, it's a negative situation.
Somebody started this show off like that. I don't know who.
I don't care. That's how I feel, and you're all going to feel my pain.
Yeah. Now, if there was some way, gosh, man, because even if you had a walkthrough with no scare actors in there, like if it was all effects, and trust me, I'm all for that. I'm totally for that. It'd be awesome if it was just set pieces and effects and everything. But even in that situation, you're walking in the same line that everyone else is. Yeah. I mean,
everybody touching things like they always do.
Yeah.
Do you have somebody like every 5 people like going through and like spraying down everything that's within a 5-foot radius of that?
Yeah.
No, I don't see how they can do it.
Operationally, it sounds insane.
Because that's the thing, Michelle. You said it's no different than them going through the lines in the rides, but I know we're going to get onto this in a minute, but they're cleaning those lines down constantly. How can you can't do that at Horror?
They
Just
weren't.
move this thing along. We need to get into this now.
Spoiler, they weren't.
Some positivity.
Michelle's now got COVID.
It's all about the masks. I mean, you cannot go somewhere and not touch things. You just can't. It's not possible. So it's all about the masks and keeping, the mask not only keeps you from sneezing or whatever on somebody else, but it also supposedly keeps you from touching your own face. So who are all these people that go in the houses and touch everything? I don't. I did in Stranger Things because I love the mind flayer, but
Nina does it all the time. Me and Nina, the pair of us, we're terrible for it.
Yeah.
Well, here's what I think. I think I would perfectly be okay with a little bit more distance between me and the scare actors because I'm easily scared anyway. So I don't need them in my face to get a scream. I don't need to touch anything. I think it would be absolutely terrifying. Even if the scare actors were 6 feet away from me, it would be terrifying to me that I have to go through the house with just me and my daughter and no conga line for safety. Like that to me is absolutely terrifying just in and of itself. So if they would pulse us through like that, and they have a team member already in each room of the house telling you to move forward. So they already have that system in place to keep people moving forward and keep people distanced.
But they can't. I think in that situation, in this new world, you can't have that person there because they're like a foot away.
A mask on, surely.
Well, it's no different than having a team member a foot away from you in an attraction line.
Yeah.
Everybody has their masks on.
Anyway.
Yeah, they're there. They're handing me goggles in the ride lines. So anyway, I see logistically how it can happen. Would I still get scared? Yes. And are a lot of people scaredy cats like me? Yes. So I think that it would still be a somewhat successful event. It won't be as big as it usually is, but it'll make a lot of people happy. And I think that they'll still get a little bit of money, which is at this point better than nothing. Because it was a little sad to not see Universal busy, even though I loved not having crowds. At the same time, I felt bad for my favorite place because I can tell they're hurting. So That's my 2 cents.
Well, we know they're hurting right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I don't know how to go from there, but let's
Good luck.
Let's take a quick ad break. We have a live ad break that's been pre-recorded, so let's hear it.
Have you taken a stroll down Diagon Alley and visited Gringotts Bank? Taken a ride through New York with Jimmy Fallon? Visited the Truffalo trees in Seuss Landing or hung out with a real-life Transformer? No? Then what are you waiting for? At Universal Orlando Resort, there truly is an option for everyone. Or if you're leaning a little more towards pixie dust rather than wands and potions, Disney destinations around the globe await your arrival. No matter the adventure, our sponsors have you covered. Be sure to let the experts at Mouse and Muggle Travel Company take care of all your travel needs, earning the distinction of being an earmarked agency specializing in Disney destinations, as well as becoming one of the first to be named a You Preferred agency with Universal Parks and Resorts Vacations. Mouse and Muggle Travel Company will ensure you receive top-rated customer service. Just visit mouseandmuggle.com to fill out a no-obligation quote request, or send your request to info@mouseandmuggle.com. Their team can take care of you no matter where in the world you want to go. With a flick of their wand and a little bit of pixie dust, the process will be so seamless, some might even say it's simply magical.
And welcome back. So, the Bourne Stuntacular will grand open at Universal Studios Florida today, June 30th. And Michelle took a trip to the resort this past week. And we will also hear Kenneth's thoughts later. But for now, let's talk to Michelle about her trip and thoughts on the new show. So, Michelle, please enlighten us.
Yeah, so do you just kind of want me to do some highlights of what I experienced?
Yeah, just tell us, like, how it went through, like, going through it.
All right. Well, yeah, so we stayed at Cabana Bay, 2 adults and 2 9-year-old kids. Of course, masks not only are required everywhere at Universal, but also in Orange County. So, I mean, there's that. You have to have a mask the second you get out of your car, basically. As soon as we walked in the doors, they took our temperature super fast. They gave us each a bracelet. We put it on ourselves. They have a different color bracelet each day, resort-wide. Okay. So that allows you to not have to have your temperature taken multiple times throughout the day, because fevers only happen in the mornings.
Of course.
So, so we put the bracelet on, we went and checked in. They have, the plastic barriers up between you and the team member who's checking you in. Everything else other than that was pretty much the same, other than you do see social distancing markers anywhere where there might be a queue. Yeah. Everywhere. So that's very obvious where to stand, where not to stand. Check-in was pretty seamless. We don't have housekeeping anymore, which kind of sucks. If you need anything, you can use the Star Services texting to request something, and we did that a couple of times, and it was super fast. We had extra towels and pillows within, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes. So that was easy, but I did miss the housekeeping. Of course, I'm assuming if you had some type of an emergency that warranted housekeeping, you could request it. But other than that, I saw no housekeepers anywhere, not even in the hallways ever. So that was interesting. Bayliner Diner at Universal, at Cabana Bay, I should say. The buffet area was closed. They had like some prepackaged salads out. They had the deli counter down with just some prepackaged items over there. Kind of more limited food availability. In Bayliner. And what was interesting to me though is, so, let's say you get a burger or whatever, and you need the condiments that go with it. Normally they have all those condiment stations out in the areas where you sit. Well, that's no longer. They have these areas set up with tables with a team member behind the tables handing you what you need. But I can go to the coolers and grab whatever the heck I want. So I don't really understand that. Like, okay, I can touch all the things here, but not all the things here. So that was a little strange. But anyway, so very limited areas to sit, with social distancing. They had markers on tables where you couldn't sit, and somebody pretty quickly cleaning the ones when people get up. Yeah. So that was interesting at Cabana Bay because there are 2 pools. The pool that has the slide was closed except for the weekends.
What?
I guess I guess the COVID is at that one, but it's not at the other one. I don't know.
It just works Monday to Friday.
Yeah, it does weekends off.
Yeah.
I guess.
It prefers the lazy river.
I guess so. So that was closed. You have to wear a mask everywhere except in the pools. Okay. So once you enter that gate for the pool area, you don't have to have a mask unless you're approaching the bar or the food counter. I noticed that they were counting people as they went into the lazy river, but that's it.
How do you socially distance in a lazy river? Because you're floating. It's like you're at the mercy of the water at that point.
You can't. Yeah. So they were counting how many people were in there, but after that, it's kind of a free for all. What else?
Is everybody wearing the mask in the lazy river or in the pool?
You can't.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, it becomes
like waterboarding.
I didn't say you should. I just said if they were.
No.
Well, we know from talking to Maddie that Volcano Bay, you don't have to wear them at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was interesting too. And then as far as the buses go, the only thing that I could see different there was that they were kind of limiting capacity on the buses. They didn't tell you where you had to sit or couldn't sit as far as social distancing goes once you got on the bus, other than just making sure you wore your mask. But I never had to wait for a bus. So there almost every single time I went up to a bus station, there were 2 buses waiting to go to my destination. So they really have been on top of keeping buses employed and running so that they don't get overcrowded.
That's good.
That's good. Yeah.
I mean, at some point, you just have to let people use their own common sense. Like, come on.
No, that's the problem.
But it's not the problem. We did not have a problem, ever. Like, not once did anybody try to crowd me. Not in the parks, not on the bus, not in the hotel. I'm Dr. Seuss, like, never.
And there was nobody from South Florida over there.
Okay, so moving on. Security hub, that is a bit chaotic. I didn't ever have to wait long to get through security. If you didn't have the bracelet on, they did do your temperature check again before you got into the actual line to have your bags checked. But once you get in line, that's normal as usual. You put I didn't see anybody sanitizing the buckets. Like, I don't understand the lack of continuity, but so that was all normal. However, because I guess at certain points of the day, or maybe they're just expecting there to be super huge crowds, they have all these labyrinths of dividers set up to control lines. But, that hub literally connects like how many different pathways? I don't know. There's 5 or 6 different directions you can go from that hub. So you can imagine how confusing it gets. And there was a moment there where they were trying to move us in a line so that there could still be people walking through the middle of the hub. But because of the way they have it all set up, it would be so super easy to skip the security altogether right now, which is kind of disconcerting. Yeah.
Do you assume they're not wiping the buckets out? Because if they're temperature checking beforehand and you're obviously okay, then they assume you haven't got anything, so then there's no need to?
That's kind of ridiculous.
But it's your stuff.
I'm not saying it's true. I'm just saying, do you think that's the mentality?
I hope not. Because if that's the mentality, then there's no point in any of this.
We're bleeped.
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know. I cannot answer that. But anyway, there was only one security guard standing like between the security hub where you're exiting the parks to come towards the parking decks. There was only one security guard there making sure that people weren't going the opposite way and just skipping the security lines. And, she couldn't pay attention to 100 people all in crowds all at once. So it would have been pretty easy the way they have it set up, not giving anybody ideas. So don't try it. But all the measures they're taking right now to keep people safe from the virus, it's kind of opening up doors for other holes in their security system.
Yeah.
Vulnerabilities.
That's a good one.
Talking about vulnerabilities, I noticed, we've talked about it before, that the people who are deemed to have a medical condition that negates them having to wear a mask, I noticed that Universal have changed the wording on now. Before they said you could go and get a wristband and you were exempt from it, but now they've said anyone who feels that they have a condition that stops them wearing a mask now has to wear a face visor.
Yes, I've seen that too. I didn't see anybody wearing a face. I didn't see anybody who I would deem physically medically impaired. Like I didn't see anybody. Yeah, so moving on from there, once you get to the parks, you don't scan your finger. anymore. If you have an annual pass, they do ask to see your ID, but that's about it.
Yep.
And just pretty much everywhere you go, there's social distancing markers. Wherever there is a possibility to have a line, there are markers.
Okay.
So that's nice. Masks, they're super on top of masks.
Good.
And let me tell you how hard that is to have a mask on in 90-degree weather in Florida. That was super, super hard.
I can imagine.
And I mean, I'm guilty of pulling it down below my mouth for, a minute just so I can actually breathe for a second while I'm standing somewhere, because it's hard. Uh-huh. There were times I literally felt like I was going to pass out, not necessarily from the heat, but just I felt like I wasn't breathing, like I wasn't getting oxygen. So it's definitely a difficult time. Difficult enough that as a travel agent, I will not be pushing anybody to go to the parks until the weather cools down a little bit. I should say, I won't be pushing anybody who has never been to the parks before to go until it cools down a bit, because it was definitely a different type of experience, one that would warrant people probably not wanting to come back again if they didn't know any different, because it was hard for sure. They had hand sanitizer everywhere. Before you got onto a ride, there was a team member who physically squirted it into each person's hand. They put so much hand sanitizer on my hands that my hands felt raw by the end of the day from all the alcohol.
That's not good.
Yeah.
I mean, it is, but it's not.
Yeah. Limited capacity on rides, putting people in every other row. However, I was there Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday actually in the parks. And the only thing I waited for was Hogwarts Express, because they're only putting one party in each car, even if you're just one person. So that kind of took longer, and that was only a 30-minute wait. Everything else I literally walked onto.
Michelle, did you do what I told you to?
No.
You didn't go to Ollivanders?
I did not.
Oh, just getting a private Ollivanders experience now would be so cool.
I know, but I had friends with me, and you're kind of obligated to buy that wand if you're chosen.
Not if you're British.
And I didn't want to put her in the position if her daughter got chosen, So we just skipped it. We've done it enough that it's fine. But yeah, so the crowd levels were insane. Just as far as being able to walk onto everything. Probably Hagrid's would have been the only caveat, but I didn't try to ride that because the people I was with didn't want to do it. So,
okay.
Yeah, quick service restaurants, same thing. You have to use hand sanitizer before you walk in. You have to mobile order, and they're kind of grumpy about it if you can't mobile order for some reason.
Yeah.
It wasn't working for me at Mel's, and it wasn't working for my friend at Three Broomsticks. And so what they did is just escorted us up there, just one person from our party to complete the transaction. And then somebody actually brings your food to you.
Yeah. They have added the annual pass discount onto the mobile ordering now, though, haven't they?
They did. And that worked great. Yeah. It worked great. I was even able to order, how you're getting the free annual pass holder cups right now at Mel's? Yes. I was even able to order those through the mobile app.
Nice. How did you put the information in? Like, you just popped in your number from your annual pass, or what?
You have to scan your annual pass each time.
Okay.
So whenever you click, whenever you click add annual pass holder discount, a little thing pops up for you to scan your pass, the back of it, and then it validates it.
Okay, cool.
I'm glad they did that.
Yeah, for sure.
So that was easy. The only problem that we had was, like I said, it happened with my friend at Three Broomsticks and me at Mel's. I get all the way through the process and click place order, and it pops up and says, you have to be in the parks to do this. I'm like, I am. And no matter what the team member, he walked us through some troubleshooting, and none of it worked for some reason. So, but they have backups in place for that.
Come on, there's a big elephant in the room that no one's talked about yet.
Which elephant is that?
The Bourne one in the corner.
Oh, the Bourne one. Okay. So that was pure luck. It was closed the whole time I was there, and then I was walking towards horror makeup show, and it happened to be open. There was a guy out front, with a seating chart, letting people in. So we got in, and I had no idea what to expect, obviously, but... So there's a queue line. I can tell they're expecting pretty big crowds for this because it's a standard queue line instead of just a room where you wait, kind of like horror makeup show. And then once you load into this pre-show room, which is just one giant room, but right now they have tape on the floor showing little boxes where each party can stand. But eventually I'm assuming that everybody will just crowd in there like normal. So you go in there, and then they have a big video up, kind of telling you what to expect and what's happening. How much of spoilers do you want me to tell? And I don't want to say too much. Okay, so there's a pre-show. You go in, and then it's a standard theater, just normal seats, super comfortable seats, by the way. Okay. With a very basic stage, like no props around, no nothing, and you're thinking, what the heck? This is it. But then the show starts, and it was so weird how they are able to combine a flat screen and video with real people, but make it really hard for you to tell what's real and what's not.
Yeah.
And you don't have 3D glasses, so I have no idea how this is happening.
Because we watched the little preview, and we were sat watching it, and there was one point where there's a fight going on and a massive crowd behind them, and it took me 30 seconds before I went, oh, hang on, that crowd isn't actually there.
Right. And it feels exactly that way in person, too. You're like, wait a second, is that person real or not? But the whole show is like that. It's mostly screen-based. They don't use very many props or anything at all. And what is a prop is very large, and it comes up from the bottom of the stage somewhere and just appears out of nowhere. But the way that they've done it, your attention is diverted elsewhere when this thing is coming up from the stage. So all of a sudden you're like, wait, what the heck? Where'd that come from? There's a giant car in the stage. What the heck? But the way it all plays together, I literally did not know how to react or what to say. My daughter, who is 9, was talking the entire time because she was so excited. Like, Mama, where's that come from? Mama, how are they doing this? Mama. And, holding her ears because the gunshots were loud, or, screaming because she thought somebody was dying and they weren't. I mean, it was, there were water effects. I mean, it wouldn't be Universal without a water effect, right? It was just crazy. It was absolutely like nothing I've ever seen before in my life. And I will watch that show every time I go to Universal from now on.
Wow.
I've heard, I think I've only seen one person say it was the...
Who is that person?
Oh, I don't know. Someone,
I need to write them.
Someone on one of the Facebook groups, and everyone else was like, just shot them down.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, the acting wasn't so great, but they're in tech rehearsals.
Yeah. Exactly.
You could obviously tell they were play fighting. It wasn't, they weren't very good at making that look more realistic. And all the actors who were doing all the stunts and in close proximity to each other had masks on. So that was a little weird too.
Ooh.
But then again, they're like bad guys, they're like bad guys. And so it kind of worked, I guess, with the costume at the same time. I don't know. So maybe the lack of facial expressions kind of made you pay more attention to their body language.
Yeah,
which,
probably.
Maybe. But whoever made this show, I mean, they have all my praises. They're amazing.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Glad to hear. I may or may not have seen a copy of this on the internet from a group that's gotten pretty infamous for it. But anyways, I've even on like a bootleg version of it, so to speak, like somebody recording from the theater, it was still so impressive to see. And I can't wait to actually see it in person. Like you said, like to see those effects and everything.
Yeah.
Because even like I said, even that way from like a bad angle and everything like that, like you can't tell what's real, what's not, what's on that screen, what's, the physical props that they're actually moving around on stage. It's just insane. So
it was exactly like that. You really couldn't tell what was real and what wasn't at some points.
Yes. And there's definitely a real sense of risk, even if like you're not into the stunts or whatever. Just the fact that they're doing this around these moving prop pieces and things like that is just like, oh my god.
Right. Yeah.
So very cool.
It was crazy. But with and that in relation to COVID and what we were talking earlier about the shows at HHN. So in the big showroom they did obviously social distancing with all the markers on the floor, but then in the theater they were seating people every other row. So of course that limited capacity by half just by doing that. But then they also made you have 3 seats between each party. So they just kind of let one row from the big pre-show room, they let one row in at a time. And there were team members there telling them which row to go down. And then they told them 3 seats between each party, and everybody just kind of did it. So it was, by the time they do all that, they're probably cutting it by about 75% capacity.
Wow.
It was a very empty theater, which was fine for a tech rehearsal.
Yeah.
But it was done well. Universal handled it perfectly as far as following CDC guidelines and everything. So it's possible. Whether it's logistical or smart for HHN, I don't know. But
it's just so weird. I can't imagine what it's like there. We've talked about it loads before, and it's like, oh, it'd be brilliant to have an empty parks. But then, like we've also said, you lose that atmosphere.
Yeah, you need that atmosphere. It must be hard for the performers as well, because they feed off the energy of the crowds as well. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're a regular there, if you go there all the time, then having an empty park is great.
Yeah,
right.
Because you know what it's like to have like the full park, and
exactly.
Yeah, so you can just appreciate this emptiness.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
at the same time, like Michelle said earlier, you just feel that little bit of like, it's a little bit of a bummer to see, nobody over here at this one thing, or and a person just sitting there all day and nobody going up to their stand or whatever. So
it was a little bit sad.
It's also that thing of, the effect it's having on them financially as well, and it's not good. No. And it makes you worry about the future a little bit. I'll be honest, it has made me worry about the future of Universal Orlando. You can't not, especially when you look, they're not going to get that influx of foreign travellers in this year. As we've already said, we're pretty much going to cancel ours. I know TUI have cancelled all their flights to Orlando till December. It's like they're not going to get the tourism. They're not going to get the tourism regardless of whether they put it in place to allow that many people in. They're just not going to get it regardless.
Right.
And that's not good.
But at the same time, on the other hand, we've seen them work through a very rough patch multiple times, and build through those, so to speak, and then come out on the other side way better off than they were before. So
Volcano Bay was pretty busy, not like a normal summer day busy, but in comparison to the regular theme parks, it was pretty busy, which is ironic because that's the place where you don't have to wear masks. But that's kind of where people were congregating because it was so hot and you don't have to wear masks there. So that was an interesting experience. And quick funny story. So we were in the wave pool, and you have to have masks in Volcano Bay anytime you walk up to any food venue. Our masks and everything were with our stuff kind of on one side of the park. We were on the other side of the park and decided we wanted ice cream, and we forgot that we didn't have masks on. And so we walk up, and of course the team member's like, you have to go get a mask. And I'm thinking, there's no way in hell I'm walking all the way over to the other side of the park just for you to hand me an ice cream. So what we ended up doing, our daughters had goggles, like full face mask goggles on. I was like, give me your goggles. So I literally took her face mask and like put it over my mouth and my nose. I was like, hey, it's a mask. And it's actually like, you can't get, my spit cannot get through this whatsoever. So give me my ice cream. The team member was not. She just the team member was not very happy, but she couldn't argue with me, so she gave me my ice cream. But it's all a very interesting experience. It's hard to remember what the rules are and what the rules aren't. It's a lot. So, but like Darren just said, if you are used to going a lot, it is kind of nice to take advantage of the lower crowds. But for a newbie, probably not the right time to go.
It's like for us, just getting to hear, like being in Diagon Alley and Hogsmeade and getting to hear those noises that you don't, all the music and the sounds and stuff would be awesome.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Cool. It's interesting.
It is very strange, isn't it?
Yep. We also have a clip from Kenneth about his review of the Bourne show.
Hey, UUOP. It's Kenneth. I'm back again to share my review, my thoughts of the Bourne Stuntacular. I've seen it a total of 3 times now, and I gotta say, it's good. I have good news. The show is awesome. I don't want to get too much into spoilers because obviously some of the more impressive things about the show were very surprising. So if you can avoid watching videos, if you can avoid knowing too much about it, I would definitely recommend that. For full disclosure, I've only ever seen the Bourne Identity, so that's not really required for the show. I'll say that. It works well as a standalone show without any prior knowledge about the movies. I mean, I think that the biggest question is, how does it compare to Terminator? And, Terminator was amazing. It was groundbreaking for the time that it was made. And this show, I think all of the same things can be said about it. It's unlike anything you've ever seen. I do think it's a worthy replacement and an improvement. Because while Terminator was really fun and really good, to be honest, most of it was just a movie that was the same every time. And it was fun. It was good. Like, I would watch that, if they were to release that on as a bonus feature on a Blu-ray set, I'd be very happy to have it. But to me, a theme park show is more valuable when you have to be there in order to see it. And the stunts are awesome. Actually, to be honest, the first time I saw it, I kind of forgot to watch it as a stunt show, and I was kind of just trying to follow the story and not really paying attention to the fact that the stunts were being performed live in front of me. I was kind of I kind of went into watching a movie mode of my brain, I was kind of disappointed the first time because I was the story was kind of pretty thin. And I guess the action scenes were okay. But then I remembered these are people in this room doing this stuff, falling from high up, climbing all over these pieces of the set. And then the second time I saw it, once I started to really appreciate the fact that these people were doing this, and not just this one time, they have to do this all the time. They're gonna have to do this multiple times a day. And the impressiveness of that repetition. I'm not giving anything away by saying that the backdrop of the stage is a giant screen. And the screen is so good. And the integration of the live elements and the screen is so seamless and so good when it's working properly that I kind of forgot that it was live in front of me. And that's pretty amazing. But, I noticed that the last few things, minus Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure, have all been actually based on Universal properties, which could not be said for many years. Transformers is not a Universal movie. Men in Black is not a Universal movie. Harry Potter is not a Universal movie. Really, I kind of love this trend of, Universal filling its park with its own IP, because I will say that's always been kind of a weakness of Universal overall, is that Disney, or especially in comparison to Disney, Disney's IP is so strong and Disney's identity is so tied to the stories that it has. And so I really like this idea of Universal trying to make that identity for themselves by bringing Bourne and Fast and Furious. And the show that they've made for it, honestly, is probably, not having seen the movies, but only going by the reputation of the series, is better than what the series really called for. Whereas I would say that the Fast and Furious ride is below what the series called for, especially given the fact that they're still actively releasing new movies that are always huge hits at the box office. They're always making so much money, and the ride that it got is so lacking. Whereas Jason Bourne is a dead franchise that hasn't released a movie in 5 years. Nobody cares about it, and yet they put this unbelievable show together for it. This kind of evolved from a review of the ride to me and my State of the Union of Universal Orlando Resort. But it's really interesting to me because Jason Bourne is kind of just another step, and the fact that it's so good really bodes well to me for what's coming in Epic Universe, for what we can expect from Universal coming, moving forward, that if they're going to be designing something from scratch now, you can count on it being good. Fast and Furious was not designed from scratch for Orlando, and I like that when we get something that's special to us, it's great. I think that we have many good things to look forward to if Bourne is an indicator, if Hagrid is an indicator, if what we can see from the new Jurassic Park roller coaster is an indicator. We have so much to look forward to, and I'm very optimistic and I'm happy about what we've got. And the Bourne Stuntacular is great. It's so good. And please avoid watching any footage of it if you can. Bourne Stuntacular, 2 thumbs up. Holy moly. I can't wait to go see it again. Enjoy. Goodbye. Bye.
All right. Cool. That's thank you for sending that in to us, Kenneth.
Oh, we know Kenneth's reviews. Like I say, I had to chop it down from 12.5 minutes to get it playable on the show because he spews out every thought that goes through his head on it. But
and there's nothing wrong with that.
He's got passion.
I think he's right though that everything that they're finally starting to lean on those Universal properties now more than they used to, and it's good to see actually.
Yeah. Definitely.
I'm going to go watch the movies now, to be honest with you. I've never watched the movies.
Well, we watched the first one last week just because of this. Not that I'm going to get to see it anytime soon, but we watched it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, this show made me want to watch the movie. Yeah. It was that good.
Cool.
All right. That will do it for another episode of the Unofficial Universal Orlando podcast. All right, so we're going to wrap up the show with another Universal Is, and this one comes from Michelle. I'm glad we have you on the show to do this. How coincidental.
Ah.
So, if you do want to be involved with this, just drop us an email to podcast@uuopodcast.com and let us know what you think Universal is in 3 words or less. And, well, Michelle, take it away.
Universal is doing it right.
See you next week.
Guess that wraps things up for another Unofficial Universal Orlando podcast. You guys did all right. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Pinterest, keyword UUO Podcast. Listen and subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, or anywhere podcasts are found. You can find our blog at uuopodcast.com. Send us your spews, which Lou gets your poo recordings, questions, or comments to podcast@uuopodcast.com. Check out our friends the Theme Park Duo and our awesome sponsors Mouse and Muggle Travel Company. So, until next time, don't give up your day job, say cheese, and see you later.